Today we are going to get ready to play a brand new game. It is called Crown and Dragon. Up is going to use rules from the solo wargaming guide for the initiation of hostilities in the mini campaign. So we're going to play this skirmish and see what happens. Hey Wargamers, welcome to battle number 0, the preliminary skirmish for the Hyde River Valley War, a mini campaign featuring 3 battles and 3 different rule sets in preparation for the big Imaginations game. For this game, I went over a lot of the preliminary information in the introductory video, which comes right before this one, so just click the link in the description below. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick review of which units are which, what their plans are, the objectives for each side, and the starting conditions. So the teams are the red and the blue. The blue team consists of these miners here, some cowboys here, 2 units of civilian traders here, and a unit of cowboys here. Cowboys 1, Cowboys 2. The red team is going to consist of the deputies and the marshals here, the sheriff, 1 officer, and then over here I have 1 double strength platoon, or 2 platoons if you want to call it that way. They're going to operate together, of blue garrison, a blue officer, and another platoon of the blue garrison. The red forces, the most important thing, these 2 units of red traders, their objective is to exit the game board, which they can do off of the bottom of your screen or the right, which will be the north or the east. They have to exit the building through this blue door. So that will definitely affect their path of maneuver. Now, for starting conditions, the blue garrison, which I'm not even sure if you can see them, they're back over here off to the west, they're going to come on the board first. They are going to continue to move until something happens. All of the other units are going to stay in place because there's a secret meeting going on here, and the miners and the 2 units of cowboys are on the lookout for the blue garrison. Now, there are some civilians in the street. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 civilians. They are going to move randomly at the beginning of each turn before anything else happens. So for each one, I'll roll a d8. And so we're going to divide that by 2. So they'll move 1 to 4 units. And they're going to move in the direction that the d8 is pointing. So this particular model here would move 2 units this direction. So she'll be right there. But we'll leave her right there for right now. As for the rest, number 2. That was number 2. Number 3, when the hostilities begin. Hostilities will begin when one of the garrison units is within 9 inches, and by 9 inches I mean these units on this ruler, of the cowboys. At that point, we'll start making smart checks, and if the cowboys fail their check, they will take a shot at the garrison, and that will set things off. When the hostilities begin, we're going to roll a die for the marshals, the deputies, the sheriff, and the Blue Garrison platoons. The marshals, they're either going to go and move south to arrest Cowboy 2, or they're going to move east to arrest the miners, or they're going to move towards the sound of the shots. The deputies are going to move to arrest the traitors, or they'll join the marshals with whatever the marshals are going to do, or there is a 1 in 6 chance that they'll go ahead and attack Cowboy 2. The sheriff right here, he is going to either move towards the shots, or he's going to go and talk to the marshals, or he's going to go and talk to the traitors. If he moves to talk to the traitors will not move until they're able to outroll him on a smarts roll. Now the traitors have a smarts of D8. The sheriff has a smarts of D6. So we'll just do a roll off and see. Whoever rolls higher gets to control the conversation. Number 4, platoon 1, which will be the double platoon, which is over here on the southern side of the western edge. They will either, I'm sorry, I got that backwards. This platoon here is either going to cut behind the buildings in an effort to surround this building here, or they will advance straight down the street. And then the second platoon, this platoon here, they're going to advance down the street, and their job is going to be to secure the bank, regardless of whatever else happens. And so they may or may not get involved in a firefight with anyone else. So that's where we are at the moment. When the hostilities begin, we will be drawing cards to activate each unit. To that end, I've tried to keep the board as clean and tidy as possible. So the cards you see here that indicate the stats for each different unit, I'm going to go ahead and I'll draw a card. These are my fistful of lead cards, so they have writing on them. But in any case, I'll just draw a card for each of the units. We'll just go around the table, and we start with the ace, king, queen, and so on down to 2. And so that's the order that these units will move. All right, so let's upside down. Shuffle the cards here. Now, this is going to be a little messy, and I apologize for that in advance. However, this is my first game of Crown and Dragons, so we'll see what happens. I have a feeling that the first turn, once hostilities begin, will be extremely messy, and then after that, it'll go a lot faster because we'll have an idea of which dice we're supposed to be using. So I'll put the cards right here, and let's go ahead and begin. So as soon as you see the garrison come on the board, that's when we'll have to start making saving throws for the cowboys. So first of all, let's go ahead and roll our dice for the first platoon. On a 1 to 3, they're going to cut behind the buildings. On a 4 to 6, they'll advance up the street. That's a 4, so they're going to advance up the street. The platoon have a pace of 6, so they're going to move 6 inches. The officer has a pace of 12, but he's going to move with them. And then the second unit is going down the street and they are going to secure the bank. So they're actually going to move in column formation 2 by 2, and so they're going to move onto the board this way. So that is the beginning of the first turn, and of course, what happens? I always do this. I always forget to roll for the civilians. So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll do the pink lady in the pink dress. She's got a 3. She's going to move that way. The lady in the green dress has a 1. She's going to go this way. The lady in the yellow dress has a 1. She's going to move this way. In the blue, 6. That's going to be 3 inches in that direction. So that'll put them right there. The lady with the umbrella, she'll also move in that same direction. And the fellow in the red tunic of 5, he's going to move in that direction as well. So he's going to be right in front of them. Well, that's interesting. All right, so we moved the NPCs. We have moved the regiment. They are more than 9 inches away. And so let's go ahead and move them again. Cowboy 1, they have a smart of D6. So they're going to need to roll a 4, 5, or 6 in order to not take a pot shot. If they roll a 1, 2, or 3, they are going to go ahead and shoot. And there's a 5, so they're not going to shoot. And let's go ahead and move the civilians again. I got to get better at this. Pink, 1 that way. Green, 1 that way. Yellow, 4 that way. And red, 6, so that'll be 3 inches that way to the end of the board. Oop. Blue, go 4 this way. Here. And the lady with the umbrella will go 3, 1.5 that way. All right. So now we move the civilians. Now we have turn 3. Let's go ahead and move the civilians. Let's do this the right way. So 2.5. We are going to move the blue garrison. Their pace is 6. They are 7 away from the cowboys. So we are going to roll for their smarts on a D6, 4 plus. They will advance and attempt to parlay with the cowboys because they're going to go ahead and try to arrest them. On a 1 to a 3, they will not parlay and they will get serious. That's a 6. All right, so they're going to go ahead and parlay. So all right, and blue versus red for the parlay. Red win. So the Cowboys are in charge of the thing. So I'm going to go ahead and put a marker down. And we're going to have that blue garrison is going to stay still, and they're going to kind of miss a turn. So what we're going to do now is, since we haven't had any shots fired, we're not going to be drawing any cards, and so things are going to continue happening. So let's go from here. The next move we have are the civilians. For the pink, she's going to go 3.5 that way. Green that way. Blue this way. Yellow for the 2 that way. And lady with the umbrella is going to go 4 that way. And the fellow with the red is going to go 4 that way. 2 that way. Okay. And now let's go ahead and move this patrol. Okay, so that'll be the turn, and now let's roll for the Cowboys and the garrison once again. A 6 and a 2. The Cowboys continue to confront the garrison, and they will maintain their position. This is very interesting. I honestly thought those Cowboys would take a pot shot right away, but it looks like that things are going to be a lot closer than it seems. All right, so let's move our civilians. Cowboys versus Garrison parlay. And the Cowboys get a 2. So the Cowboys are going to, one of them is going to lose his temper. He's going to go ahead and take a shot. Now, the Cowboys have a fight of D8. So they're going to roll a D8, and they will also roll a D6. And they're shooting at the platoon over here, whose parry is 7. So they'll need to score a 7 on one of these dice in order to cause a wound. If either of these comes up max, we roll it again. And we have a 5 and a 1, so neither of them. I'm going to take this off. Now that the shot has been fired. And now we're going to go ahead and draw cards for each of the units. So we're going to start with the civilians and the miners. The deputies, oh my goodness, they get a king. The marshals, the Cowboys here, Cowboys there. Interesting. The platoon going to the bank, they get to go first. The officers have a 5 and a joker. So that means that platoon is going to go last. And then when this turn is over, all those cards will go back in the deck and get shuffled. If you don't draw a joker, you just keep going through the deck. So that's interesting that happened. That came off right off the bat. So let us start at the top. We have an ace, our first platoon, moving to secure the bank. This is the bank building. Our ace, and then a king, the deputies. Deputies have a king. We're going to roll for the deputies. On a 1 to 4, they are going to head toward the building where the meeting is and attempt to arrest the traitors. On a 5, they're going to wait and support the marshals. And on a 6, they're going to go ahead and attack the Cowboys here. And that's a 3. So they're going to move to arrest the traitors. And deputies have a pace of 6. Actually, I believe everyone has a pace of 6, so. The deputies move this direction. All right, king, queen, jack, Cowboys. The vaqueros down here. They also are going to move to protect the meeting. So they're going to move towards this way. Jack, 10, 9, 8. The minors. The minors can move and be within 1 inch of this marshal. So we're going to move them up, and actually before I move them, they're going to roll versus their smarts. If they fail, they're going to charge the marshal and try to knock him down. And they fail, that's a 1. So they're going to charge the marshal and get into a melee with him. And that was an 8. On a 7, okay, let's do that melee first. So the minors have a fighting of 6. So they're going to get 2 6s, 2 d6s. And the marshal has a parry of 6, so they need a 6. We also get to do a +1 for each member participating. No, that's for damage. I apologize. That's for damage, right? So they need a 6, and they don't get 1. All right, so now it's the marshal's turns. The marshal is in melee. He's going to have to fight back. This marshal will join over here. The marshals have a fight of d10, so they'll roll a d10 and a d6. And the minors have a parry of 5. I have a 5, so that's going to be a hit. They will roll a d10 for their damage plus 1d6. Yes. Versus a parry of 5. We have a 6, so that's going to be a shaken counter. And I'm going to go ahead and use this as a shaken counter. So we'll put that right there. So there's one of those guys is shaken. The other marshal will get to attack. And that is an 8, which is 3 more than the parry, so he doesn't get a +1. So we will then roll for damage. And that is only a 2. So toughness of 6. Nothing gets through. Okay. So that is that for the marshals. That was 7. What's the next highest? 5. The officers. The officer here on a 1 to 3, he's going to go talk to the sheriff. On a 4+, he is going to go move towards the shots. And that's a 4. So he's going to move towards the shots, and he can go 12. We'll put him here. And let's roll on the smarts for him. His smart is a d8. He needs a 4+, or he's going to go ahead and take a shot at the Cowboys. He's got a 4. All right. And now for Cowboy 1. The Cowboys are going to shoot. The Cowboys have a fight of d8, and they get another 6. The parry for is a 7. So they need to get a 7 or an 8. And they don't. All right, so that's ineffective shooting. Interesting. The officers went. And now this platoon, they're going to go ahead and fire. They have a fight of D10. So they will roll a D10 and a D6. And they get a 7. Cowboys parry is 6, so they do exceed, which will cause a shaken marker. Put that there. And wait, I need to roll damage. So they are shaken regardless. So they get a D10 and a D6, and then plus 5 for everybody participating in the thing. So that's a 4. That's a 9. The Cowboys have a toughness of 6. That's 3 over. So again, they'll just be shaken. Okay, perfect. And the civilians, they have a 3. They should have gone just before these guys, but that doesn't really matter because they're way over there. So civilians have a 3. I gotta slow down. I'm getting excited. This is always, I always get so excited doing this. All right, so they can move 6 inches. They must exit from the blue door. They are going to run out into the street. They are going to see the troops and the deputies right in front of them. So that means they're going to split and either go to the right or to the left and try to go north around the building. So each unit on a D6, 1 to 3 means they'll go right. 4 to 6 means they'll go left. This will be the red die, and that's the blue die. All right, so they're both going to go right. Interesting. Okay. So that is 2. All right, so they're going to come barreling out of here. All right, so that is all the cards. Pick up all the cards, and now we're going to shuffle the deck. And then we'll roll for the NPC movement. All right. Here we go. Civilians have a 3. The miners have an 8. The deputies have a joker. They're going to go last. The marshals have a 3. The cowboys have a 5. The cowboys have an ace. First platoon has a king. The officers have a 4. And the second platoon with the cowboys have a 7. All right, that is super interesting. All right, let's move our civilians, because this could get messy. 6 that way, so they're going to go that way. And 3 this way. So that fella and the sheriff are blocking. Also, I need to roll for the sheriff now to see if he's going to go talk to the marshals or if he's going to go talk to the traders. Let's see. There's also a NPC back here who is blocking the traders' flight, and she is going to turn and crash right into them. So she will impede their movement. fellow in red. So we go 3 that way. We'll put him right back here behind this building. And the lady with the umbrella is going to go 2 this way. All right. So there's that. And let's go ahead, and I'm going to hit pause on this for just a second. And I want to make sure that I'm doing the damage correctly. Hang on 1 second. All right, so it appears that I've been doing it right, and it's just it's hard to damage people when you're just doing fisticuffs. These guys are not armed with swords or axes or anything like that. So we're going to say that our friends back here, the garrison, are fighting, but they are not using their bayonets. Just as a matter of decorum. So, the first ace is the Cowboys. They will do their attack. They get a D6. I'm sorry, a D8 plus a D6. All right, so there's a 6. And now we roll another 6. And a 4. So that makes a 10 against the parry of 7. So they beat it by 3, and they will cause a D. What's their strength? A D8. So we'll roll a D8 and a D6. And so they'll cause 3 damage, which is not enough to overcome the toughness. All right, so that is their attack. And let's see here, King, this platoon here, they are going to have to go around. Well, let's see what happens. They're going to get a -2 to their die roll. They need to roll on their smarts. Their smart is a D6. If they roll a 1, 2, or 3, they're not going to be smart, and they're going to knock that civilian down and march right past them. And so they're going to get a -2 to their die roll because they are not here to mess around. And so that's a 0. So they will knock that fella down and just keep on marching. So we're going to lay him down. March 6. All right, that was our king, queen, jack, 10, 9, 8. An 8 for the miners. They're going to go ahead and continue their melee. One of them is shaken. He can try to remove that by rolling against his spirit. His spirit is a D8. He needs a 4+. He gets a 4, so we're going to take that off. And he'll get to fight. So, fighting is a D6 plus 1d6 for the. And we have a 6 and a 1, so we get to roll another D6. And that's a 3, so that's a 9 versus a parry. The marshals have a parry of 7. And so then the strength is a D8. So they'll roll a D8 and a D6 for damage, plus 5. And so that's a 5 plus 5 is a 10. The marshal's toughness is 6, so that is 4 points over, so they're going to get a +1. So instead of the excess damage being the model shaken, there's going to be 1 wound and 1 shaken. So we're going to give a wound and a shaken to that marshal. Excuse me. All right, next highest card we have, what was that? That was an 8. We have a 7 over here. These fellows are going to melee against the Cowboys. They have a fight of D10 plus a D6. And they get an 8. The Cowboys' parry is 6. So they're able to overcome that. And they have a strength of D8 and a fight of D10. So D8 and D10. Did I just mess this up? Well, that explains it. Now I understand the damage problem. So they get a strength of D8 plus a D6. And a 7 and a 1. So a 7 versus the Cowboys' toughness of 6. But we're going to add 5 to that, so that'll be a 12. So that'll be 6 over, so they'll get a +1. So 6 over is 1 wound and 1 shaken. That'll give them 1 wound and 2 shaken. So 1 wound and 2 shaken counters there. Now we have a 5 for these Cowboys here. Let's make a smarts check and see if they shoot or if they just continue to run forward and get in the way. It looks like they did see someone knock them down, so they're going to get a... Let's just see what happens. We get 4+. Well, nope, they don't make it, so they're going to shoot. And so Cowboys fight is D10. The range up to 12 inches is short range. They are beyond 12 inches, so they're going to get a -2. So they'll get a D10 plus a D6. Be -2 to their roll. And the deputy's parry is 6. So 2 1s, so nothing happens. Now we have another 4, the officers. The officer is going to call on the Cowboys to surrender. He has a smarts of D8. The Cowboys have a smarts of D6. And they're going to get a -1, 2, 3, 4. -4 because of the shaken. So let's see what happens here. The shaken and the wound, I should say. So he beats them handily, and so the Cowboys are going to surrender. And so they'll be taken into custody at the end of the turn. And now we have 2 3s, the marshals and the civilians. Let's go ahead and do the marshals first because they have hand-to-hand combat. And then we'll do the civilians so they can do their move. So the marshals, one marshal has a -1 for a shaken, a -1 for a wound. The other one does not. So let's do the unwounded one first. His fight is a D10. And he has no minuses. And he gets a 6 and a 2, so we'll roll another die. Another 6, we roll another die. And that's a 5, so that's a 17. 17 versus the minors. Their parry is 5. That's up by 12. That's 3 rises. So I believe that means they get +3 to their damage. And his damage is strength D8 and a D6 +3. I have an 8, so I'm going to roll another D6. So that's 11, 14. The miner's toughness is 6. I exceed it by 8. That's 2 rises. So 8 would normally be 1 wound and 2 shaken. So we're going to jump up 2. So that'll be 2 wounds and 3 shakens. So 3 shakens and 2 wounds on the miners. The second marshal is going to attempt to arrest the remaining miners. So his smarts is a D8. The miners is a D6. And the miners are at -2 overall. So the miners get a 0, so they will also be arrested at the end of the turn. Interesting. I'm going to grab a couple of counters for that. Hang on. Okay, so I found these little green counters. These should be relatively unobtrusive. And so the cowboys and the miners are both being arrested at the end of the turn. So all we've got left here are the civilians and the deputies. So the traitors go on 3. And they are going to continue to flee 6 inches. So I'm going to move around the other side and make it easier to move them. And of course I kick the tripod, right? Because what else? What else would I possibly do? All right, so the traitors are going to move. However, there is an NPC in the way, so that is going to slow them down. They'll have to funnel through to get past her. So 6 is right here. Okay, and that is the deputies now. They're going to get to go. They have the Joker there last. They are going to go after our traitors. And what they're going to do is they're going to cut through here on a shortcut. And then let's go ahead and roll for the NPCs on this side. We have the lady with the umbrella. She's going to go that way. Fellow in the red, he wants to go that way, so he'll wind up over here. The gal in the middle, she wants to go this way, so she's gonna just cut them off. And who we have left here? I think there's someone on the other side that I can't see. All right, I'm going to pause this again and try not to kick it. All right, so we have the green lady right there. Let's roll for her. She's going to go through that direction. Put her right there. Oh, there's one right there. That's the one I missed. And she's going to go 4 in that direction. Now the forest, if anyone does move through the, well, it's an orchard. If anyone moves through the orchard, that is going to slow them down. It's not going to slow down the NPCs because their movement doesn't matter. They're not trying to achieve anything. So let's, all right, so that's the top of the turn. That's all taken care of. Let's go ahead and shuffle our deck. I'm going to pause for that so you don't have to watch. And then we'll deal out our cards for the next turn. The civilians get an 8. The miners get a jack. However, their miners are arrested, so they're not going to get a card. The deputies are going to get the jack. Oops, I should have done that. The marshals have a jack. Cowboy 2, the vaqueros, they have a king. Wow, all right. Cowboy 1, they're arrested, they don't get one, but the other platoon is going to get an ace. The officers will get a 5, and the platoon doing the arresting will get a 3. Okay. So, where's our ace? Over here. First platoon, they are going to be able to, they're going to move 4, they're going to move 4 into the bank. So I'm just going to put them over here by the cards. And then the rest are going to surround it. Yeah. All right, so that is that for the first platoon. And we have a king here, Cowboy 2. They can see that the deputies are running between the buildings. They're going to go ahead and see, let's see, are they going to shoot or are they going to chase? And they got a 6, so they're going to chase. All right, that was a king, and now we have 2 jacks, the marshals and the deputies. The marshals have taken these guys under arrest. The wounded one is going to stay with them. The other one is going to, what's he going to do? All right, on a 1, 2, 3, or 4, he's going to move to try to arrest the cowboys. And on a 5 or 6, he's going to go down here and see what's going on at the other end where the shooting was. And that's a 5, so he's going to go to the other end. That is his plan. And so that's the marshals. The deputies are going to run around the building. And so let me get around here. All right, so the deputies have run forward. This fellow will stand up. The next highest card, that was the deputies. The next highest card is an 8, the civilians. They also are going to run for the edge of the board. All right, I'll take care of that. So there you can see the civilians have moved north. It looks like they're about 2 moves away, maybe 3, from getting off the board. However, the deputies are very, very close. And the sheriff, I'm going to have to roll for the sheriff as well and see what he's going to do. So let's see who's next. The officers. The officers. All right, the officers are going to try to arrest the traitors. All right, so he's going to ride up here. He's going to tell him that the traitors are running off to the north. And so then he will travel up here, and he can make it around to there, and then he can move another 6 to right here. And now the sheriff All right, the sheriff on a 1 to 3 is going to go talk to the traitors. On a 4 to 6, he's going to go talk to the marshals. And that's a 1. So he's going to go after the traitors and call on them. So he can go 12. He can catch right up to these guys. So he's going to run right through here. And we're going to roll on his smarts. The sheriff's smarts is a D8. So on a 4 plus versus the civilians, they have a smart of D8 also. So let's do blue for the sheriff and black for the civilians. The civilians win. So they are able to continue moving if they wish. And who's left? The first platoon. All right, so one of these guys will stay back to keep those cowboys under guard, and the rest are going to, on a 1 or a 2, they're going to follow their officers. On a 3 plus, they're going to, nope, they're going to just follow the officers. That's what they're going to do. So they can go 6. All right. All right. All right, so that's the end of that turn. Let's go ahead and roll for our NPCs. Which way are they going to go? The lady in pink is going to come this way. That's a marshal. Lady in green is going to go this way. Fellow in blue is going to go this way. The lady in yellow back there is going to continue over here, hassling these people. The fellow in red, yep, he's going to move right over here and block them. And the lady with the umbrella is going to go this way, right up against that building. All right, so there's that. Well, let's go ahead and deal our cards. We didn't have a joker that time, did we? No. All right, so we will deal out the cards. We have the civilians get an 8. The miners don't get a card. The deputies get a 7. The sheriff gets a 5. The marshal gets a 2. The vaqueros get a 4. The other cowboys don't get one because they've been arrested. This platoon here has a 2. The officers have an ace. Oh my goodness, that is gonna change things around. And then a 9 for the smaller platoon. Okay, so it looks like some things could happen here. Let's see what happens. So let's start with our ace, the officers. The mounted officer can move 12, so he can get up here. And then the other one is 6 inches behind him. So he'll get to here. Right there. And he is going to try to parlay with our traders. His smarts is D8. He gets the blue one. The traders have a D8 as well. And you know what? Let's give them both a D6 for wilds. Just to see what happens here. So we're going to need at least a 4+ and definitely a higher roll. And nobody gets a 6, but the officer gets a 4. So we're going to give them a shake it marker. So they won't be able to move this turn. You know what, let's give them the other kind of marker. There we go. That one means they can't move. All right, ace, king, queen, jack, 9, 9, 9, 9. The platoon over here is going to get to go. It is 3 to the corner of the building and then 3 pass, so just to the edge of the dormer there. That was 9. And now 8 for the civilians. These civilians cannot move. These civilians can. What are they going to do? They're going to run. They are going to run. And this is going to be tricky for them because they have to run away. They're going to run away from the horse. Put them here. And then, right behind the civilians, come the deputies on a 7. Now, the deputies are on a chase. I'm going to roll against their smarts, which is a D6. If they roll a 1, they're going to shoot. Otherwise, they will run up and try to arrest them. That's a 4. So they're going to run up and attempt to arrest these folks. So they're going to get right up into melee here. And actually, if the arrest fails, they, if their arrest fails, they're going to, if the arrest fails, they're going to melee. The civilians have a D8, the blue D8. The deputies have the red D6. And so the blue deputies, they get a 5. So they win. And with a 5, the parry for the civilians is a 2. Their toughness is a 4. All right, so they are getting arrested. Let's do that. And let me find another counter. Okay, so I dropped an arrest counter on those traders. Who's left here? We have a 4. We have a 5 for the sheriff. The sheriff is going... All right, the sheriff has a smarts of D8. On 1 to 4, he's going to go try to parlay with the traders. On a 5+, he's going to go fight against the officer because he's conflicted. Doesn't know what he's going to do. 7, he's going to go fight against the officer. Okay, awesome. So he's going to move right up here. And that is going to be a melee. The sergeant or the sheriff has a fight of D10. And he'll get a D6. And that's a 10. So I'll roll another D6. So that'll be a 15 against the officer's parry of 6, which is over by 9. So that'll be 2 raises. So now I'll roll for damage. That'll be a D. The sheriff's strength is a D8 and a D6. And he has an 8 and a 6, so that's going to be 2 more dice that we roll. 1 more die that we roll again for the 8. And that's a 6, and we're going to roll again. And that's a 3. Plus 2 is 5, so that's 11, so that's 19. 19 is going to be 2 wounds. I'm sorry, hold on. This is individual. So 19 against the officer. His toughness is 5. So that's 14. So he's going to take 1, 2, 3 wounds with 2 left over. All right. Yikes. And he'll get a shaken marker. Actually, I'm just going to take it off of here because these guys, it doesn't matter. They're arrested. I'm going to leave the wound marker, though, in case that guy doesn't survive. And I'm going to take these shakers off. Those guys have wounds. All right, the vaqueros. Okay, the vaqueros, they have a smart of D6. On a 1 or a 2, they're going to attack the marshal. On a 3+, they're going to go over here and attack this marshal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's a 3. So they're gonna go over here and try to help the miners out. Now, they are not within 6. However, let's roll for their smarts, which is a D6. If they can't roll a 4+, they're going to take a shot at that marshal. And that's a 2. So they're going to take a shot at the marshal. Their fighting is a D10. And they get a 7. The marshal's parry is a 7. So that's going to be a hit. We'll roll for damage. That is 2d6 plus 2d6 plus 1. Oh, plus their fight skill, which is another d10. All right, so they have a 6. So no, this is going to go away. No, the damage is just 2d6 plus 2, so that's going to be 2d6 plus 1, so that's 8 and 9 damage against the marshal's toughness of 6. So he's going to be, once again, shaken. And he hasn't gone, so that's going to make his job harder. All I have left are 2s. First platoon and the marshals. All right, this marshal is going to turn and shoot at the cowboys. He has a fight of 10. And he gets 1 6. Let's roll another d6. That's another 6. So we're going to roll it again. This one's the white die. And that's a 5. So 17. 17 against the Cowboys. Their parry is 7. So it beats by 10, so it's going to be 2 raises. So that is going to be 2d6 plus 2. And then we'll move up on the chart. 6, 7, 8. 2 wounds and 3 shakens. This marshal is going to use his pistol in combat. That'll be a d10 plus a d6 with a -2, 3, 4. He gets an 8 against the miners. Parry of 5. He beats it by 3. That is going to be, so I'll roll damage. 2d6 plus 1, there's a 6. So that's going to be 9, 10 versus their toughness of 6. Beats it by 4. That's going to give it a raise. So it's going to be 1 more wound and 2 more shakings. So we're going to go up a wound. That's going to be 3 wounds done to that group. And we're just going to say that they're all shaken because there were shakens on there before. So those guys are done. Okay. All that's left now is first platoon. They are going to spread out. 2, 4, 6. These last 2 are going to move inside. These are going to form a cordon around the building. And then they're going to shoot at the vaqueros. They have rifles. Their range is 15 and 30. All of them are within 15. Their fight is D10. They get a 10, so we roll another D6. And that's a 6, so we're going to add another D6. And that's another 6. Oh my goodness. And there's a 1. Okay, so 11 and 12 is 23 versus the Cowboys' toughness of 6 is 17. That's 4 raises. Now we roll for damage. The rifle does 2d8 damage. Which is a 3 and a 1, so that's 4. 1 wound and 1 shock. We're going to raise it 3. 1, 2, 3. 2 wounds and 3 shocks. And they already have 3 shocks, so, or shakens, I'm sorry, shakens. So they have 4 wounds and 6 shakens on that group, so they are not going to do anything next turn either. And so it's what's going to come down to it is if any of those remaining traders can get off the board. So let's see what happens. All right. So that's the end of the turn. Let's move our NPCs. The pink is going to go for that way. Green. Blue. Yellow. Red. with the umbrella. 5 back this way. 2.5 back this way. All right. And now let's deal out some cards. The civilians. They get a 6, and I'm gonna take this off because he's fighting them, so they're gonna run for it. The miners are SOL. I'm gonna flip their card over. The deputies are arresting, but they can do something, so they get a queen. The sheriff gets a 9. The marshals have a 10. The vaqueros, they are out of it also. They are all shaken up and wounded. So we're going to flip that over. These cowboys are arrested. First platoon, they're going to get a 4. The officers get a queen. And the second platoon gets a king. Oh boy. Here we go. All right, so we don't have an ace. But we do have a king, so second platoon over here. They can move up and they'll be within range. So they're going to do this. They're going to move up here. And then they're going to take a shot at -2 at the fleeing traitors. Their fight is D10 plus a D6. They get a 5. -2 is a 3. That does not get past their parry. Oh, it does get past their parry of 2. So we're going to roll for damage. That's 2d8. There's no rise, however, so it's 3 damage. So they're going to be shaken. And since the vaqueros can't do anything, I'm going to take this. So one of these guys is shaken. I'll take that off. All right. Queens, the officers and the deputies. The deputies are going to move around and try to arrest the second batch of traitors. And they are all within 6. And I'll leave 1 there to be the arrestor. We'll move these guys over here. And then we'll do a smarts versus smarts. D8 versus D6. And if the deputies don't get a 4+, they will melee. They do not. It's a tie, and so the deputies are going to melee. Their fight is a D8 plus a D6. A 4 and a 2, so a 4 beats the parry of 2 for the civilians. We're going to roll their strength, which is a D6, so 2D6. They get a 6. So we'll add another die. And there's another 6. Wow. So 13. 13 is 2 wounds and 2 shaken. know what? There's actually supposed to be +3 damage. So that would have been 6. That would have been 3 higher. So still one. It's Yeah, I did the right thing. 2 wounds. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. That was the deputies. On the queen. Oh crap! There's another king over there. Second platoon. Shoot. Second platoon was going to shoot at those guys again anyway, so let's do that first. 10 and 6. They have a 7, which beats their parry of 2 with 1 rise. We roll 2d8 for the damage, which is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 damage. 1 wound and 2 shaken, but we've got 1 rise, so it's 2 wounds and 2 shaken. So that's going to be 4 wounds all day. And 2 more shaken. So that's going to be all but 1 is shaken. Oh my goodness. Oh dear, dear, dear. Okay, so that was them. Now, that was their shooting. Now the officers get to go. The officer is going to fight. He has a D8 and a D6. He gets a 5. The sheriff's parry is 7, so that is nothing. The other officer is going to, he still did because he was at -2, so he's going to right up here and he's going to attack. And that's a 3, so that's nothing. Okay. Queens. 10, the marshals. All right, the marshal is going to try to arrest the vaqueros. D8 versus D6. And they're going to get a -2 because they are in bad shape. So they get a 1. He gets a 6. So they will get arrested. So we'll put that there. The sheriff has a 9. D10 fight. He gets a 1 and a 4, so nothing. The civilians are on a 6. 5 of them are shaken. There's 4 wounds. They are being meleeed by the deputies, so they are not going to go anywhere. And that is going to be the end of the game. First platoon has got the bank under control. They've arrested all the traitors. And they have 1, 2, 3, 4 wounds. And the way you're supposed to apply those is put them all on one figure and remove a figure. So what we're going to do is we're just going to randomly select one of these figures. This figure will be killed. Which one is that? Oh, getting too close. You see that? Can you see that, fella? Is it focusing? I can't tell if it's focusing or not. Okay. Well, in any case, we'll have to give this fellow a name and spread the word around that he was killed in this action. So, all right. So that's the end of the game. that was fun. That was a lot of fun. I like that a lot. I also really enjoyed the look of the board with my new wound and shake encounters. Obviously, I need more shake encounters. Next time, I think what I'll do is instead of using the cracked earth counter for shaken, I'll go ahead and use the crater because I've got 20 of those and only 10 of the others. So this will be for shaken and that'll be for something else. But the wound markers worked well. One of the vaqueros is dead as well. I have 4 wounds on the vaqueros, so we're going to kill this one. So that's actually 2 dead. I've got 2 wounds on the miners. And 3 wounds on one of the officers. So, yeah, equally here. And now the sheriff, he's going to be in trouble. So we'll have to write up a little fun narrative about how this went down, about what happened, and what the aftermath will be, and how this will spill out. So in the next video, we are going to, hopefully somebody's still watching this so you can get a preview of what's going on. But in the next video, we will move riders from Bluetown and they will head for the capital cities. The provincial capitals. And so I've got a map here. You know what? I'm going to pause this and zoom in. All right, so here's Bluetown on the map. Is that right? No, it is not. Bluetown is a small town right here on the edge between the brown and the green there. So that's where Bluetown is. And so what's going to happen is the provincial capitals are here and here. That's not true. The provincial capitals are here and here. Wow. So what's going to happen is a rider is going to leave from Bluetown and go to the provincial, to this city, and then to that one, they'll follow the roads. Another rider will go to the provincial capital there. I have roads drawn in on the big map, and so we'll show the big map for when we play this out. And they will relay the information. The governors there will make decisions and start to muster troops and give orders. We will roll on the charts from Solo Wargaming Guide and determine how long it will take for each of those governors and their military commanders to respond. And then we'll start marching troops around on the big map, on the strategic map, and see what happens. And we will march those units around until they clash. And what we'll do is we'll have 3 battles. And for those battles, we are going to be using the new Risk armies that I put together, which are these fellas right here, which they're a lot of fun. I like these a lot. And we'll also be playing with Shot, Steel, and Stone. We'll be playing with Valor and Fortitude. And we may also try Fistful of Lead, Bigger Battles. I do want to try 3 different rule sets, 1 for each battle, and determine which one I like best, and that will be the one that we use for the Big Imaginations game. So there we are. Thank you so much for staying around to the end. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it gave you a feel for how the game goes. There are, like I said, there are other details such as some benefits and special abilities they call edges that are included with the game that I did not use, but I will use in a future game now that I've got the basic mechanics down. So there we go. Thank you so much. Have a great day and keep on gaming.
Hi there Wargamer, my name is Beth603/4, and I would like to thank you for watching today's video. Please consider subscribing to the channel, and hit that like button. This video is part of the Wargame Culture Game Design series. You can subscribe to the Wargame Culture Design newsletter at wargameculture.substack.com. Become a full subscriber today.